Hamburger. The hamburger is named after Hamburg, Germany, where minced beef patties were a working-class street food in the 19th century. German immigrants brought the concept to America, where it met the sandwich bun and became something Hamburg never intended. Multiple American cities claimed the first hamburger on a bun simultaneously: New Haven, Connecticut, Athens, Texas, Seymour, Wisconsin. None of them has definitively won the argument. The Library of Congress credits Charlie Nagreen of Seymour, Wisconsin in 1885. Seymour holds an annual hamburger festival and considers the matter settled. The other cities disagree. The hamburger remains the most disputed American food origin story and the most consumed American food simultaneously. French fries. French fries are not French. They were invented in Belgium in the late 1600s when villagers along the Meuse River began frying small fish. When the river froze in winter and fish became unavailable, they cut potatoes into fish shapes and fried those instead. American soldiers stationed in Belgium during World War I encountered them, assumed they were French because the Belgian army spoke French, and brought the name home. Belgium has been correcting this mistake for over a century. Nobody is listening. McDonald's now sells more French fries every day than Belgium produces potatoes in a week. Southern fried chicken. Southern fried chicken emerged from two separate culinary traditions that combined in the American South during the 18th and 19th centuries. Scottish immigrants brought the technique of frying chicken in fat, while West African enslaved people contributed the practice of heavily seasoning and marinating the meat before cooking. Neither tradition alone produced the dish. The combination of Scottish frying method and African spicing created what became the foundation for nearly every fried chicken style that followed. The chicken is coated in seasoned flour and fried in a cast iron pan or deep fryer until the crust sets hard and golden. It became central to Southern family culture and Sunday meals throughout the 19th century and remains the base from which Korean, Japanese, and Nashville styles all developed. Buttermilk fried chicken is built around a single step that changes the texture of the meat entirely. The chicken soaks in buttermilk for anywhere between 2 hours and 24 hours before any flour touches it. Buttermilk is mildly acidic, and that acidity slowly breaks down the protein structures inside the muscle fibers, relaxing them and allowing the meat to hold more moisture during frying. The lactic acid also helps the flour coating grip the surface more firmly, producing a thicker and craggier crust with more texture than standard flour alone creates. The technique became widespread across American home cooking through the 20th century. Some recipes add hot sauce or pickle juice to the buttermilk soak for extra flavor and additional tenderizing. Chick-fil-A built its entire menu around this method, though the company has never confirmed the exact details of its recipe. McDonald's Chicken McNuggets. McDonald's Chicken McNuggets were invented in 1979 by food scientist Roger Baker, who spent years solving the problem of breading falling off chicken during frying. The solution was a molecular bonding batter system. McNuggets launched nationally in 1983, and within 1 year, McDonald's became the second largest chicken purchaser in the United States. The 4 shapes, bell, boot, ball, and bone, were designed specifically to cook evenly from frozen. Every chicken nugget sold anywhere on Earth traces its existence back to Roger Baker's laboratory. A food scientist's solution to a breading problem created one of the most consumed foods in human history. NY Pizza Slice. The New York pizza slice costs $1 at the cheapest places and has maintained approximate price parity with the Subway fare for decades. When the Subway raised its price, pizza raised its price. The correlation is not coincidental and has been analyzed by economists as an informal inflation indicator. The slice itself, a large triangle of thin crust with tomato sauce and mozzarella, is folded lengthwise before eating to prevent the tip drooping and losing toppings. Tourists who do not fold the slice are identifiable immediately. Over 1 million pizza slices are sold in New York City every single day. The fold is not optional. Taco Bell Original. Taco Bell officially calls its menu American food inspired by Mexican flavors. That is the most honest sentence a fast food company has ever published. Glenn Bell founded the empire in California in 1962 after spending months spy-watching how a nearby Mexican restaurant made their tacos faster and cheaper. The original copycat taco cost just 19 cents. Mexico has never formally recognized Taco Bell as real food. Taco Bell doesn't care. There are now over 8,000 locations worldwide. The 19-cent taco that Mexico never recognized built a $13 billion empire. That's the ultimate American success story.
Burrito. The burrito means little donkey in Spanish. One story says a street vendor in northern Mexico wrapped food in a flour tortilla to keep it warm while transporting it on his donkey. The giant foil-wrapped version Americans know today was invented in San Francisco in the 1960s. Chipotle alone sells over 300 million burritos per year. One restaurant chain, one item, 300 million times. The burrito is not Mexican food. It is American food that borrowed a Mexican idea and scaled it into a billion-dollar industry.
NYC hot dog. The New York City street cart hot dog has been sold from aluminum carts since the 1860s when German immigrants introduced sausage carts to Lower Manhattan. The water the hot dogs sit in is called dirty water by locals and is considered by regulars to be part of the flavor. A dirty water dog from a cart costs under $3. The same hot dog costs $12 inside Madison Square Garden. The vendor on the corner outside MSG has been in the same spot for decades. Over 100 million hot dogs are sold from New York street carts every year. The most New York food experience costs less than a subway fare. Popeyes. In 2019, Popeyes released a chicken sandwich. Within 2 weeks, every location in America had sold out. One man in Maryland was stabbed in a fight over the last sandwich. A single fast food item caused a stabbing. McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's all panicked and rushed their own versions to market. The media called it the Chicken Sandwich Wars. All from a restaurant that failed completely in its first month and almost never reopened. Lemon pepper. Lemon pepper dry rub wings became the defining food of Atlanta, Georgia. The city's hip-hop culture adopted lemon pepper wings as a cultural staple in the 2000s, and multiple Atlanta rappers referenced them in songs. The dry rub format, no sauce, just seasoning pressed directly into the skin, creates a crunch that wet wings cannot replicate. Atlanta wing shops started offering lemon pepper wet, which adds butter to the dry rub after frying. The rest of America is still debating whether this is genius or an act of culinary chaos. Fried ice cream. Fried ice cream should not be possible. Ice cream melts. Frying requires heat. The solution is temperature and speed. A scoop of ice cream is frozen extremely hard, coated in a thick layer of batter or crushed cornflakes, and submerged in oil for less than 30 seconds. The exterior fries, the interior stays frozen. The contrast of hot crust and cold cream is the entire point. Chi-Chi's Mexican restaurant chain popularized it in America in the 1980s. The dish has no Mexican origin, despite being served at Mexican restaurants for 40 years. It was invented for the American market and attributed to Mexico for atmosphere. Onion rings. Onion rings and French fries have been competing for the same position on American menus since the 1960s, and the argument about which is better has never been resolved. The first published onion ring recipe appeared in a 1933 Crisco advertisement, making them a product of corporate food marketing rather than culinary tradition. Burger King introduced onion rings nationally in 1975, and they became the default alternative to fries at fast food chains across America. The ongoing debate about onion rings versus fries generates more passionate responses at American restaurants than most political discussions. Both sides have strong opinions. Neither side is changing their position. Mozzarella sticks. Mozzarella sticks were invented in American restaurants in the 1970s as appetizers specifically designed to be ordered while waiting for the main course. The concept of breading cheese and deep frying it produces a result where the exterior sets before the interior fully melts, creating the cheese pull effect that became the defining visual of the dish. PGI Fridays standardized the format nationally in the 1980s and distributed the recipe to their entire chain simultaneously.
The cheese pull became a marketing tool before social media existed. Advertisements showing mozzarella sticks being pulled apart were among the most effective food advertisements of the 1980s. A stretching cheese visual sold more appetizers than any flavor description could. Corn dog. The corn dog was invented at the Texas State Fair in 1942. Neil Fletcher dipped a sausage in cornmeal batter and fried it on a stick to make it portable for fairground crowds. The format solved a problem nobody had formally named: how to eat a hot dog without a plate. State fairs across America adopted it immediately. Korean corn dogs using rice flour batter and potato cube coatings went viral in the US in 2020. A 1942 Texas invention inspired a Korean reinvention that lines stretched around American city blocks 80 years later. Hash browns. Hash browns were invented in the northeastern United States in the late 1800s as a way to use leftover boiled potatoes. The name comes from the French word hacher, meaning to chop. McDonald's introduced its hash brown patty in 1977, and it became one of the most recognized fast food items in the world. In Britain, a similar dish called bubble and squeak uses leftover cabbage and potato fried together. Switzerland has roasty, South Korea has gamjajang. Every culture that discovered the potato eventually figured out that frying leftover potato pieces was one of the best ideas available. Churros. Churros were brought to Europe by Portuguese sailors returning from China in the 16th century, where a similar fried dough called youtiao had existed for centuries. Spain adapted the recipe, added cinnamon sugar, and paired it with thick hot chocolate for dipping. Spanish colonization carried churros to Mexico and Latin America, where they evolved into the street food format that reached the United States through Mexican-American communities. Disney theme parks began selling churros in the 1980s and now sell approximately 3.5 million annually across their parks. A 16th century Portuguese sailor snack became one of the most recognizable theme park foods in the world. Potato chips. Potato chips were invented in 1853 in Saratoga Springs, New York, by a chef named George Crumb. A customer repeatedly sent his fried potatoes back to the kitchen, complaining they were too thick and soggy. Crumb, frustrated, sliced the potatoes paper thin, fried them until crispy, and salted them heavily as a sarcastic response. The customer loved them. The dish spread across the country and became one of the most consumed snack foods in human history. Americans eat over 1.5 billion pounds of potato chips per year. A chef's act of frustration created a global industry worth over $30 billion. BIRRIA QUESATACOS. They took the most viral taco of 2019 and made it go viral again. The BIRRIA QUESATACO adds a layer of melted cheese to the outside of the tortilla before grilling, creating a crispy cheese crust against the pan. The consommé dip turns it into something structurally similar to a French dip sandwich. TikTok found it in 2020. The cheese pull and the consommé dip generated hundreds of millions of views. A variation of a 500-year-old stew became its own viral food category. The internet did not need a new taco. It got one anyway. Funnel cake. Funnel cake arrived in Pennsylvania with German immigrants in the 1800s and was called Strauben in German-speaking communities. The batter is poured through a funnel in circular patterns directly into hot oil, creating a lacy fried dough that is dusted with powdered sugar immediately after cooking. American state fairs adopted it in the 1970s, and it became the defining fair food of the East Coast. The smell of funnel cake frying is so specifically associated with fairgrounds that it functions as a sensory trigger for childhood memories across multiple generations of Americans. No other food smells like exactly that one specific thing.
Double smash burger. The smash burger technique changed American burger culture permanently. A ball of beef is placed on a screaming hot flat top griddle and pressed hard with a spatula until it is almost paper thin. The Maillard reaction, the chemical process that creates browning and flavor, requires direct contact between protein and heat. More surface contact equals more crust, equals more flavor per bite than any thick patty can produce. The double smash stacks two thin smashed patties with American cheese melted between them. The cheese becomes part of the patty rather than a topping. This is not a burger with cheese on it. It is a cheese and beef system.
Crispy jalapeno poppers.
Jalapeno poppers appeared on American menus in the 1980s, a halved jalapeno filled with cream cheese, battered and fried. The cream cheese exists to extinguish the heat after the crunch, pain, then relief in a single bite. That is the entire product. TGI Fridays claims to have popularized them nationally. Cream cheese companies have never properly thanked the jalapeno popper for the sales it generated. Americans consume jalapeno poppers at a rate that suggests the cream cheese and jalapeno industries are coordinating. They are not. The market just works. Sometimes the simplest idea is the most ordered item on the menu for 40 years. Fried pickles. Fried pickles were invented in 1963 at the Duchess Drive-In in Atkins, Arkansas by owner Burnell Austin, who battered and fried dill pickles to use surplus inventory. The combination of sour brine and hot crispy batter worked immediately. The format stayed regional for decades before spreading nationally through casual dining chains in the 2000s. Applebee's put them on their national menu. Buffalo Wild Wings followed. The sourness of the pickle cuts through the richness of the batter in a way that makes each bite reset for the next one. And Arkansas Drive-In's inventory solution became one of the most ordered bar appetizers in America. Curly fries. Curly fries were invented by Arby's in the 1980s using a specialized spiral cutting blade. The increased surface area creates more crispy edges per fry than any straight cut can produce. Arby's seasoning blend of paprika, garlic, and onion powder became so associated with the shape that competitors who released their own curly fries were consistently described by customers as tasting like Arby's regardless of the seasoning used. A cutting blade and a spice blend created such a specific eating memory that the shape alone triggers the flavor. Curly fries are now one of the most recognized fast food side dishes in America. Strawberry frosted. The Simpsons premiered in 1989. Homer Simpson's donut was pink frosted with sprinkles in the opening credits of every single episode. Dunkin' and Krispy Kreme both reported measurable sales increases every time a donut-heavy episode aired. A cartoon character eating a donut for 35 years of television created more brand awareness for the pink frosted format than any advertising campaign in donut history. The strawberry frosted donut existed before The Simpsons. After The Simpsons, it became a cultural symbol recognizable in countries where neither Dunkin' nor Krispy Kreme operates. Homer did that for free. Classic glazed. Krispy Kreme's original glazed was developed in 1937 from a recipe founder Vernon Rudolph bought from a New Orleans chef for an undisclosed amount. The glaze is applied while the donut is still hot, creating a thin shell that cracks slightly when bitten. Krispy Kreme installed windows in their shops specifically so customers could watch the glazing process on the conveyor belt. The Hot Now sign, lit when fresh donuts are coming off the line, created a Pavlovian response so powerful that drivers have been documented making illegal U-turns when they see it. A red neon sign has been causing traffic violations since 1992. Shawarma. Shawarma comes from the Turkish word çevirme, meaning turning. Meat stacked on a vertical rotating spit, slow roasted for hours, shaved continuously as it cooks. The technique originated in the Ottoman Empire in the 19th century and spread across 3 continents. In 2012, the film The Avengers ended with Tony Stark suggesting shawarma. Global shawarma restaurant sales spiked within days of the film's release. A superhero movie did more for shawarma awareness than a century of Middle Eastern immigration. Marvel accidentally became the most effective shawarma marketing campaign in history.